everybody, this is Grace. In this video, I'm going to talk about when a narcissistic behavior that I see as a narcissistic behavior, of when that person blames you, you're the victim of something, and they blame you, and they make up a logical explanation about why you were at fault in the beginning. Okay. Now, this can be in any arena in life. It can be the person you're in a relationship with, or it can be someone even at a store, or, some kind of utility that you call. And they're trained this way to blame the victim. And basically, what it comes all down to is they're blaming the victim, and they have a reason for why the other person is at fault, like I just said, and it makes sense. It's some kind of strange logic, but it makes sense. But it's wrong at the same time. Okay, now I repeat myself, and I do that quite often, but I do live in a world where it's not just my experience. The person on the other side doesn't have great listening skills. I'm not saying anybody who's watching this doesn't, but I got used to behaving this way of repeating myself because the first time they weren't really listening. I think that I always said this, whomever was off texting somebody in their mind, so they're not really there. They're not mindful. They're not focused on what's being said. So I repeat myself, and then they kind of get it, maybe. But this is part of this video. When the victim of whatever it is being blamed, and I'm going to use an everyday kind of example. Okay, a common everyday example. I think many people have had the frustration of dealing with some kind of utility, or even it could be something like a grocery store, any of these, where you're dealing with them, and they turn around and say that you were somehow at fault for something that you had no fault in at all. Like happened to me. The reason it's on my mind is because I just dealt with, once again this morning, a pharmacy that has one of these automated systems that calls you, will text you when they want to when you need to renew your prescription, or when. Okay, and that's what it's set up for. Okay, I'm going to get this to make sense because it doesn't really make sense. Okay, but anyway, their system was off. I'd pick up a prescription. It would automatically text me to ask me if I wanted them to call the doctor and have that prescription renewed, when they still had some on file. Okay, like, they give a 90-day supply and you get 30 days. But they still have it on their system, but it's going to do that. And one of them it did twice. And, and it happens like that. Okay, so you call and you opt out of it. You never opted in, or you thought so, but what it was they didn't tell you that's what you were doing, and on and on. And it goes on and on, that their system is messed up. Something, and I'm not the only person this happened to, by the way. So it happened to Adam too. But at some point in it, when you're dealing with the customer service person who's supposed to be fixing it doesn't, and you have to call again, and they don't have that great listening skills. And you finally get down to it, and they say, well, that it's your fault. They find a way of saying that you did it. You were the fault of it. When in reality, you don't work there. You didn't program this. You did not make this happen where it would do some sending you text like crazy. Okay, so but they find a way, and it makes some kind of sense, that you did sign to have them text you in the first place because they told you what they told you it was, and they were in a hurry, and I could go on and on, but the thing about it is that it was crazy. You did not program, but they want to take away from that fact that their system was messed up and find a way to blame you. Okay. Yeah, I think I have an actual better way, everyday kind of thing. Say you go into a grocery store, and this did not happen to me. I'm at a grocery store, so I'm saying this did not happen to me because it hasn't. But I know somebody that this kind of thing happened to. But you go in there, you buy your groceries, and, we go through the checkout, and there's somebody, some places call them sackers and some call them baggers. They bag your stuff up, your groceries. And Now, they used to always, I want to say this, because some people might not know it. There was a time when they automatically took your, bagged up all your groceries, put them in the basket, the shopping cart, whatever you call it, where you are, and they take them out to your car for you. It was automatic, no question. That's just how it was. So that's important to this story. But now, you go into the store and you buy something, and they bag it up and put it in your cart. That's as far as it goes, unless you ask. So that happens, and you go out to your car, and you get home, and you're taking stuff out of your bag, and you see that you don't have everything. So you call the store, and you tell them, and then that person who answers was trained to do this, to tell you, you should have checked to make sure that everything was in your cart. Now, that makes sense, doesn't it? It does. There's some kind of logic behind that. Yeah, you probably should have. Now that you're aware of that, this is how it goes, you probably, you should check every bag and make sure you have everything. No, come on, seriously. Nobody does that. At least I don't. That's kind of, yeah. But what it was maybe they had put this stuff in the bag but didn't take it off the little, whatever, the holder for the bag holders. They left one there. Or maybe the cashier put something to the side, up front where you couldn't see it from where you were standing because it was too soft for regular bags or something, to be bagged with something else. And the person who was bagging, or sacking, didn't see that. But you should have checked the whole area to make sure that everything bag was in your, I mean, I'll look around to make sure, but if something's stuffed underneath the counter or something like that. Now, like I said, they find ways to blame you. Okay, but now the bigger problem really is, and I'm seeing this as a sociologist, I have a master's in sociology, is that it is being taken over. It's a collective kind of narcissism, and the employees are being trained. It's normalizing narcissism, that they're being trained to blame them, blame everybody else, but not the business. Make sure the business looks beautiful, and if a customer has a problem here and there, it's the customer's fault. Yeah, but yeah. Okay, now here's the thing. Also, now that can happen, and if you're a person who will take it to a higher level, call the corporate office and talk to them, and what you get there is the same kind of thing, the same kind of logic. You pretty much figured out this is how they're trained to be, to blame the customer. And some of the younger people might not know that there used to be customer service where the customer was not blamed. The customer was always right, is the expression, which didn't mean that the customer actually was all right, but they knew how to state it to where the customer wasn't offended. Okay, the customer wasn't being told, you're wrong, really forcefully, but forcibly. Anyway, so, yeah. Anyway, it gets to where the person who is going to call and complain knows there's no reason, it's not going to stop it. You're just going to be faced with more of the same attitude. So people stop complaining, and then the corporation, they teach more people, and they get up more, they get away with it. They start normalizing this narcissism, that they're all right, everybody else is wrong, the company's all right. You see what I'm saying? And before you know it, people stop. People know that that's what's going to happen when you have some kind of problem with anything, not just the store or a store or a utility, whatever, is that you're going to somehow be be made to be wrong, and they're right. Okay, now the video I wanted to make this morning because of this, but I felt like I had to do this first, is about when you have that kind of, you live in that kind of environment, and you have this happen quite frequently, and life can be like that. Mama said there would be days like this. And yeah, there is. But you have it back to back. In one day, you can have so many frustrations that it's unbelievable because of somebody else's screw up. Somebody didn't program the computer right. Somebody that worked there wasn't being professional enough. They weren't doing their job enough. well enough. They weren't paying attention. And like I said, the result is, no, you were at fault. And these happen repeatedly. And the video I want to do is about the frustration that it can bring about when it happens too often in your whole environment, and you're not at fault. You know it. You didn't program that system. See, I told you, I've gotten used to repeating myself. I've dealt with people who, by the way, had dementia, and you have to repeat yourself, so I got that on top of it. But lately, it's that people don't listen. Their listening skills, they're gone. They don't have them. The people that I've run across lately, yeah. So anyway, and now the video I want to do is about this kind of frustration. What is a healthy response to constant frustrations like this? In your environment, people you deal with. Now, some of them, what can you do? If it's like your cable, internet, or whatever provider, and it's the only one, or it's one of a few, and they all do that. They have poor customer service skills. They blame you if something goes wrong when it's not you, Something along this line. Or you have a cell phone. This has happened to me with mine. You get a cell phone, and the person that sold you the cell phone said that you got this buy one, get one free, thing, and what it is, what the person programs into their system wasn't that deal, but was a bunch of different codes that would make it look like you got that deal, but it would only be for 3 months instead of 2 years, something like, or a year. You wouldn't know it because you don't work there. You don't know what these codes mean and stuff, and say you can't get through to customer service, you can't get through to a manager, they won't let you speak to one, district manager, they tell you to do this, they tell you that, it goes on. And it's not just you who tries, the other person does. Yeah. And you have these kinds of frustrations. You never get to customer service. They say they're going to hook you to a manager, and instead they hang up. Their only response is, I understand. But they never do anything. You try to reach somebody higher. Nope, can't do that. And it just goes on and on. Day after day, you try, you call different places, you look up their own corporate office to see if you can call. You might even call the a state, or not state, but federal, on them to try to find out. And they give you the same kind of thing, or they say they can't really help this problem. It can go berserk. It can go just crazy. Okay, but the thing about it is, what can a person really do about something like that? I don't think a person can totally get away from frustrations at all unless they go back to being totally off the grid, and they don't have utilities or anything. Yeah, but you're still going to have to deal with stuff. You got property taxes, you have income taxes, and on. There will be something, and like I say, it's gotten to the world where I see too much of it. Other people I know see too much. I know it's not just me that thinks this way, that there is no way that it's this collective narcissism. They're going to do you wrong, they're going to treat you wrong, and you need to accept it and know that you're going to be wrong in the first place. It's your fault, and you just got to bow down to them because you don't have many choices, if you have any choice other than that one. I kind of rambled, but I think people might understand this frustration. But yeah, that's my life lately, and how does a person handle it? Now, I know what is thought of as considered as healthy is that the person, at least from what I understand, is that the person really just lets it roll off their back. But back to back happening, and how well is the person going to be adjusted if they see an issue and they just let it roll off their back? That anger or frustration could build up, or they know that they're really not doing anything to stop it, to make it be seen as this is wrong, it's inappropriate, that they're just allowing it to continue. How do people see it differently? I can tell you, when I studied psychology, I got my degree. I earned degrees in both psychology and sociology. And in psychology, it was more of that kind of way. you just let it roll off your back. But in sociology, they run toward a problem to fix it. They're the people that go out and say, no, this is wrong. This must change. Yeah, but we all know people can be dangerous, so it's not something for everybody to do. And not in every situation those who do. So, it can be dangerous. Anyway, I think I've done enough for this video. I got more to say on it, probably one day. But anyway, if you want to subscribe to this channel, click the circle. If you want to watch another video on this channel, click one of the rectangles. Like, subscribe, comment, and share if you would. And I'll talk to you on another video. Bye.